and Rick McLeish the other. And it was 2-2. The Flyers in shots in that period 12-11, leading 22-19 after 2 periods. 9 penalties, 5 of them to Philadelphia. And in Buffalo, 3-2 Islanders over the Sabres. Pair of goals by Drew and 1 by Billy Harris. The Buffalo goals by Rick Martin and Jerry Korab. And hang on now, we're 2-2 here after 2, and our intermission activities will continue after this.
Back here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Don Earl along with Gene Hart giving us a chance, the two of us, to sit side by side and do a little bit of rapping about tonight's game and the series overall. That period, you mentioned it during the period, Gene, and I think it was noticeable to all of us in the booth that Toronto did slow down, and perhaps now the Flyers' pressure that they were able to put on Toronto is beginning to take its toll.
Well, I think sooner or later you figured they had to slow down. They were just were ferocious in the first 3 games. Sittler and Salming, particularly in the latter stages of the period, looked like they were reaching, and on several occasions Salming went off, dragging each skate that was off the ice. And the Flyers seemed to come on a little stronger with a little gusto, and obviously the 2 goals have to help. And whether it was just the wind of the second period and the Leafs can come back, but you would think going so often as they do with Turnbull and Salming, and with just 4 defensemen in a warm building, no air conditioning here, and the 2 lines, I think Red Kelly began to see the fatigue and started to shift with Ashby. Remember, in the first 2 games, he had Alain Ballanger on the bench, Boudreau on the bench, Hammerstrom on the bench, and Ashby, and only Ashby was used for a shift or 2. So he's
Due to technical difficulties, we have temporarily lost the video portion of our program. We hope to have the problem corrected momentarily. Please stand by. Thank you.
Almost to a man, they're secretly, quietly saying, I think the Leafs are playing way over their head. And this is by no means, from our standpoint, take anything away from the fine performances that the Leafs have put on thus far. But this is always possible in a short series.
Yes, perhaps, but of course the one thing that they've got going for them is the brilliant performance of Sittler. You and I saw the game that he played in Pittsburgh that night when they won 5-2, and the game here that they lost 6-4, and he was absolutely a dominating figure. He already has 15 points, and this is just his 6th game. And when you realize the record for playoff points is 27, and that's over a 19-game span by Mahovlich and Esposito. Lanny McDonald has 10, and I think, as we mentioned in the first period, that line of Williams, McDonald, and Sittler, 12 goals, 19 assists for 31 points in 5 games plus 2 periods. And as the Flyers had Leach last year and McLeish the previous 2 years, you get a hot pair or a hot guy like that, and they just can kill you in key moments, which Sittler has done as a dominating factor.
We still got to feel that Leach and McLeish have yet to be heard from, and if those 2 performers, and have been good solid Stanley Cup performers, do explode, you're going to hear a lot of noise from the Flyers' corner. We'll be back with more from Maple Leaf Gardens right after this. We'll continue with the audio portion. We're attempting to get the problem rectified. In the few seconds remain, the Flyers in Toronto going into the 3rd period, tied at 2. A little more pressure can change the outcome tonight.
I think so. And again, as we pointed out early, a major game for Philadelphia, because a win tonight, even though they're down 2-1, and back here Sunday, would put them in not bad shape, because going home, Don, you just have to count on the Flyers, if it wins 7 games, say, winning those 2 at home. And if they win tonight, they're back down to having to win 1 of 2 remaining games here. That might be oversimplifying it. And obviously you're going to say, well, if they were down 3-0, anybody could figure that out. But a major game, and they would take the momentum off the Toronto Maple Leafs as we get set to go into the 3rd period.
And that we will be doing momentarily. A reminder, guests on on the Flyers hockey games receive these gifts.
Any athlete knows the value of traveling light on the road, and we have a gift that can help you do it. It's a Sony.
Back here at Maple Leaf Gardens, the Flyers have returned. The Leafs just making their appearance on the far side. And Bernie Perrant goes by in front of Wayne Stevenson, clapping his hand, saying, let's keep it strong. 2-2 the score. As we have our picture, for those of you watching on television, well, you'll know better than I. We do have it. You're shaking your head. We don't have it. All right, there's no video back in Philadelphia. We understand the problem is an AT&T along the way, and we're going to try to rectify that as soon as possible so you can follow our account vocally. The Flyers fell behind, as they have in the other 2 games, 2-0 in the first period. Power play goals by Sittler and Turnbull. First period ended with the penalties even at 2 apiece, with the Leafs scoring on their 2 power plays. Flyers outshot Toronto 10-8. In the second period, Lonsbury, then Kindrachuk on a power play to tie it. Flyers in shots again, 12-11 for a 22-19 margin. Flyers have picked up 5 of the game's 9 penalties. The Leafs with 2 power play goals, the Flyers with 1. And in Buffalo, it's 3-2 Islanders at the end of 2. That is Druin, a pair, and Harris for the Islanders. Korab and Rick Martin in the first period for Buffalo.
I started to mention, Gene, that the one good sign coming out of the dressing room is that Fred Shearer is not going to let up at all. The team has picked up the momentum, ready to roll. He's going to send 2 men in deep after them and 1 man back in the slot.
That's what we've been missing. We haven't heard any towels before. Now we got a towel in there. The Leafs aren't skating a towel. And now we blew smoke in Terry's face before the game. We got a couple of towels. And for the third period, scored it, tied at 2. Let's go Flyers. Let's go Don Earl.
Thank you, Gene. Clark against Sittler. Flyers control. Leach back to Daly at the Flyers line. On the left to Jim Watson. Quickly back to Clark, who lifts it weakly into the Toronto zone. Leafs can't move it out. Lonsbury blocks it off. Salming goes behind his own net to the near side. Dave Tiger Williams can't clear out. Daly's drive in front. Cleared out by Salming. Salming out the left wing. Off the stick of Clark to Williams at center ice. Off his stick to Leach. Leach back to Jim Watson. Quickly up to Clark. Circling at his own line. Uses Jim Watson as a screen. Forward checking for the Leafs is Sittler. Clark, right side, intended for Lonsbury. Too far for him to reach. Salming moves it up the near side. Off the stick of Williams. Kept in by Daly. Daly's blocked the first time. Closing. Fires wide. Kept in by Jim Watson. To Leach. On the forehand. The drive off the glove hand of Palmatier. It's loose. But Sittler ties up Lonsbury in the left wing corner. Leach gets it loose. Back to Jim Watson. Watson goes to the right wing corner as he had no shot. Puck cleared back to the Flyers end, and Jim Watson in a foot race with Lanny McDonald. It'll be icing waved off. Lanny McDonald with the puck. Coming off the backboard is tied up by Lonsbury, and moving it to center ice, Jim Watson. Tried to go back to Leach, cutting toward the Toronto line. Pass was off the mark. As Lonsbury and Lanny McDonald have their skates locked back at the Flyers line. Puck kept in by Bob Daly in the Toronto end. Now they're apart. And Salming from behind his own net takes a bump from Dornhofer. Lead pass on the left wing. McDonald. He's across the Flyers line. The drive, a bullet off the shoulder of Stevenson. Karam's back to the Flyers line on the right wing, but kept in by Carlisle. Bladen broken up. Loose puck. Joe Watson clears it out of the slot to Dornhofer. Taps it ahead to McLeish at center. Fires at long range. Stopped by Palmatier. Now it's McKinney taking a bump from Dornhofer, and here come the Leafs. It's Pellet to Ferguson across the Flyers line on the left wing. The shot stopped by Stevenson. Loose puck behind the Flyers net. Out to Carlisle. Carlisle's shot is wide. Joe Watson can't get it. Dornhofer gets it loose for McLeish on the left wing. He's at center ice. McLeish trying to penetrate. Does, but he's broken up, and back comes Turnbull. Turnbull breaks with McKinney. Trying to go outside of Selesky. Does. Forced behind the net. Puck is loose, and Bladen clears it away. But picked up by Turnbull. Back to Thompson. Backhands it into the left wing corner of the Flyers zone. Bladen ties up McKinney. Now it's Barber behind the net to Kindrachuk. Kindrachuk pulls up short as he hits the Flyers line coming out. Now hits open ice. Across the Toronto line to Selesky, but offside is called against the Flyers. 17:15 to go in regulation time. The score is tied at 2.
Ford announces the new Mustang II T-Roof convertible. It can make your heart beat a little faster. The convertible kick is back. The Mustang II T-Roof convertible. Try it at your Ford dealer. See if your heart doesn't beat a little faster.
When America needed better wheels, we Ford dealers made the difference.
There's a Philadelphia sign man holding up a sign that says no signs tonight. We have picture back in Philadelphia with 17:15 remaining in the third period. Game tied at 2.
Okay, back down below, the face-off and neutralized. Controlled by Toronto. Inside the Leaf zone, Salming crosses left side to Turnbull. Out to center ice. Broken up by DuPont. Picked up by Kindrachuk. Can't penetrate. Now gets loose across the line. Here comes the O. Can't get a shot away. Turns. Comes back to DuPont. His shot deflected to the far boards by Weir. A drive off the left wing boards by Jim Watson is wide, and Karam's all the way back to center ice to DuPont. The Moose looks for an opening. Lifts it over the head of everyone. Coming out to glove it on the fly is Palmatier. Drops it out for Bouchette on the right wing. Lead pass for Weir. Wing to wing for Bob Neely. Neely winds up and drives off the glove hand of Stevenson. Was off the mark. Boutet with the rebound, and the right wing corner is tied up there by Jim Watson. We'll have a face-off to the left of Stevenson.
Picking up men in the corners and bumping around the net as the Leafs had a couple of good opportunities, and the Flyers just wouldn't let him get the shot as they were really banging around and tying up in front. George Ferguson standing up at the Leaf bench and moving over next to Errol Thompson.
Hopefully, Gene, the Leafs are showing signs of fatigue. In the Pittsburgh series, and also in the first 2 games, and this one in ours, they've used the Sittler line a lot, Boyer, Salming, and Turnbull a lot. Hopefully right now it's going to start to catch up to them. Our fellows will get their legs and start to carry the play in the remaining of this 3rd period.
Bobby Clark in the face-off with Sittler. The draw goes to Joe Watson. Comes behind the net to the near wing. The Flyers' right wing broken up. Bladen can't move it out. But Reg Leach does. Double team. Gets by one man. 2. Gets by Pellick across the Toronto line. To Lansbury. Loose puck right in the slot. Karams to the right wing corner. Clark ties up Tiger Williams. Leach barrels into Carlisle to Sittler, and he moves it to center ice. Bladen intercepts as Lanny McDonald bumped right into Dave Tiger Williams. Bladen lifts it back down the right wing behind the Toronto net. Carlisle moves it up the near side and is cleared back to the Flyers line by Tiger Williams. Joe Watson checked by Sittler as he cuts in front of Stevenson. Lifts a pass off the boards for Lansbury. Misfires, and now it's Clark. Dumps it just to the Toronto line where Carlisle returns it, intercepted by Bladen. He's broken up by Williams. Here comes Sittler across the Flyers line. The drive wide, short side. Barber pulls it away from the forechecking of Lanny McDonald, and now Sittler goes behind the net for Bladen along the near side. Just lifts it to center ice. Pellick tries it back in, but offside, still in the zone, is Dave Tiger Williams, but they're not calling it. Now it's Dornhofer with a lead pass on the right wing through center ice. Lifts it to the Toronto left wing corner. Palmatier taps the rebound behind the net. Puck cleared out along the near side, but Daly controls. Hits Dornhofer with a pass, who pumps it right back in again. To the right wing corner, skips behind the net. Palmatier intercepted by Barber. It's the backhander with Palmatier behind the net, but Dornhofer has picked up a penalty, I believe, for interference. We've got 14:58 left in regulation time. The score is tied 2-2.
Girard Bank is always finding ways to help you reach your financial goals. The Big G account is one of the best. You get a complete package of great banking services just for keeping $200 in a Big G 5% savings account. Sure, you can bounce around to every bank in town, but Girard's Big G account can't be beat. For no charge checking, plus all the banking services you'll probably ever need, get the Big G account at Girard. Other banks just don't have it.
Gary Dornhofer, his 2nd minor of the night and his 4th of the series for tripping Palmatier behind the Toronto net.
He skated right into him. Palmatier made the play on that right there. And I was busy watching Billy Barber with that backhand when he had the open net and flipped it over top it. All Dorney did, Gene, was he skated straight into Palmatier, knocked him down off the play, which is quite legal once he leaves that net to play the puck. And he was the last Leaf player to touch it. He was fair game for Dorney, who just skated right into him and took him down. Evidently, Ron Wick's not agreeing and giving Dorney 2 minutes for tripping. So, once again, we're in that predicament where the Leafs have the power play against us with 14:58 remaining in the game. 2-2 tie.
This is their 5th power play of tonight's game. They're 2 for 4 thus far tonight. They have been devastating on the power play against the Flyers. Off the face-off, it goes to the Flyers' left wing across the way. DuPont through center ice. Rags the puck, gives the puck away, and here comes Jim McKinney. Has to cut back inside of his own zone as DuPont stays right with him. Now it's Turnbull. Across to Salming on the right. Returns it to Turnbull, and the Leafs come through center ice. Turnbull with the puck. Angles it to the Flyers' right wing corner. Goes behind the net where DuPont has it. Lifts the backhander the length of the ice. Salming will be the first one on it as he takes it off his backboard. Salming starts out from behind his own net. 1:22 left on Dornhofer's 2-minute tripping penalty. Salming from the red line to the left wing corner, but it goes over the glass and out of play. We'll have a face-off in neutral ice.
News all day, every day on your total news and information station, WCAU, CBS Radio News 1210. Take 1210 with you wherever you go and stay on top of all the late-breaking news events. Worldwide, nationwide, Delaware Valley-wide. When you need news, WCAU Radio News 1210 is there. And the Leafs now, as we told you before the game, Terry, when you start getting a little tired, they want to take shortcuts. And they're making bad passes, and they're not working with the same gusto. Clark Gillies in the 3rd period, and it's Islanders 4 and Buffalo 2.
Face-off just to the Flyers side of center ice. Sittler against Clark. A minute 16 left on Dornhofer's penalty. Off the face-off. Joe Watson goes for it. Clears out. But picked up at center ice by Darryl Sittler. Sittler forced back to his own line. Drops it back deeper for Turnbull. Up to Dave Tiger Williams. Good pass to Sittler. 2-on-1. Sittler too far ahead for McDonald to reach. He's taken to the backboards by Barber. And now the lead pass tries to come out to Turnbull, does Sittler, and he splits between his defense, giving the Flyers a chance to change. 45 seconds left on Dornhofer's penalty as here comes Turnbull. Behind the back pass, picked up by Salming on the right wing at center. Goes to the Flyers backboard with it, gloved by Stevenson. Drops it off as the Leafs are sending 2 men in deep. Flyers can't clear. Kept in by Salming. A shot in on Stevenson as Dave Tiger Williams is crawling all over Wayne Stevenson. Now it's Sittler in the left wing corner, circles away from Jim Watson. Tries to go back to Dave Tiger Williams, standing right outside the goal mouth. But it comes to Selesky, and he moves it up the left wing, clears it the length of the ice. Dornhofer will be back in 10 seconds. Lead pass from behind the Toronto net to Sittler. He's challenged by Selesky. Now it's Turnbull, broken up by Selesky. Selesky has Kindrachuk breaking. Moving in, never gets the shot away. And that play was blown right there. Here comes McDonald. The Flyers are back at full strength. McDonald across the line, drops it off for Sittler on the right wing. Poked away from him. Dornhofer overskates. Gets it back. Poked away from him by Carlisle. Now it's Dupont. Goes behind his own net to Bladen along the near side. Selesky lifts at the length of the ice. This will not be icing, or will it? It will be, as it's touched up by Carlisle. With 12:28 left in the third period, it's 2-2.
Jake, we're turning back. There's nothing out there.
Now, hold on there. You know what's out there? A Rustler's Steakhouse that steaks the size of Texas with the best potato in the territory and salads with exquisite dressing and a fresh roll, all for about $2.50.
Come to the Rustler's Steakhouse and get a taste of the Old West.
There's a sign here that says, let's demolish the Flyers, among many, as they've gotten modern times here at Maple Leaf Gardens, where they used to wear coats and ties and sit and applaud occasionally.
They've come to life in the last few years, and they've got a team to cheer about now.
Face-off now to the right of Stevenson. It'll be Stan Weir for the Leafs and Mel Bridgman saying the odd shift tonight. First game back following his Charlie horse that was suffered down the stretch drive during the regular season of play. Weir is waved out, and I guess Bridgman has been waved out too. So it'll be Boutet for the Leafs and Bob Kelly for the Flyers. On the draw, they battle for it, top of the circle, and Kelly clears at the length of the ice, and again it will be icing against the Flyers as it's touched up by Randy Carlisle.
I tell you, we hate to keep pounding on that same note as the Islanders are shown here leading Buffalo 4-2. But there were several plays that Darryl Sittler just let go away from him as he was fatigued, couldn't follow the puck up in the corner, and when he had a 2-on-1 with McDonald, led him badly in the corner.
When you've logged as much ice time as they have in the playoff series, Gene, it's bound to catch up with you, and hopefully it's caught up with them now.
On the faceoff, back to Carlisle. The drive, glove save, and a good one by Stevenson, and he holds out for faceoff.
Randy Carlisle from north of Sudbury, Ontario.
There's your face-offs in the playoffs, Gene. They come right back to the point man there. A good clear shot from the point. Steph's having good puck pursuance tonight. He saw it all the way. Our fellas clear out the net. Let him see it coming. Young rookie, Randy Carlisle, who the scouting report said possibly might be weak his first year in the league, but he hasn't shown any signs of weakness in this series.
Face-off this time to the left of Stevenson. Kelly tried to move out with it, couldn't do it. And now it'll be Kindrachuk, and he moves it through center ice with Selesky open on the right wing. Kindrachuk cuts to the left side. Still controlling, but finally broken up as he's tied up by Randy Carlisle. Boutet is challenged by Selesky behind the Leaf net. Carlisle, a solid pump by Kelly, and he goes down. Boutet up to Weir, just lifts it out of the zone to center ice. Daly controls, goes to the left wing. Hits Kelly as he comes out of the zone, and Kindrachuk lifts it back into the right wing corner. Bob Kelly on it. He's crunched and dumped by Mike Kelly. Down goes Carlisle also. Kelly on the left wing boards. To Kindrachuk in the left wing corner. Back to Kelly. Tried to get full wood on it, but drove it wide. Selesky fakes going one way, trying to spin away from Bob Neely. Had Daly cutting for the net, but didn't take the pass. Selesky shoots instead, and it's wide. Kindrachuk along the left wing boards. Into Selesky. Hits his skate and not his stick. Daly trying to penetrate. Drives wide. Comes to Kindrachuk. Can't keep the puck in. Cleared to center ice by a diving Pat Puchette. Now it's Jim Watson going to the left side, intended for Daly. Neely tries to penetrate. Gets the puck inside the zone, but he's broken up. Now it's McLeish behind his own net for Jim Watson. Quickly up the Dornhofer at center ice with McLeish breaking. Inside the Toronto zone. Intercepted by Salming. Puck cleared by Joe Watson along the boards. Watson spins away from one man, picked off by McKinney. Here come the Leafs. Wing to wing. Left side. Ferguson in front for Thompson, but he fanned on it. Quickly Bill Barber out of his own end on the left wing through center. Barber takes the shot from the line. Trying to go wide as Salming is broken up. Salming kicks the puck out of the zone to Ferguson. Goes wing to wing. Picked off by Bladen. Bladen to Barber across the line on the left wing. Give and go for Bladen. Barber overskates the loose puck, and it's Salming for Toronto. Great two-way action. Salming. Long lead pass. McDonald's offside. We've got 10-11 left in regulation time. It's 2-2.
Here's an extraordinary suggestion from Admiral Travel. Cruise the Kungsholm on the St. Lawrence in Canada, stopping at Montreal and Quebec, returning on the Saguenay River with a stop in Bar Harbor, Maine. Cruise departs New York August 29th for 11 days, August 13th for 16 days with a stop in Bermuda. Contact Admiral for all details. The Kungsholm registered in Liberia.
Pretty face in the crowd. You wonder if that is a Flyer fan or a Maple Leaf fan, Don?
I think she's got a look of Leafs in her eyes.
Hopefully right now that our fellow will start to dump that puck in once you get over center ice. As Freddie says, no skating room or passing room. Dump it in deep. Make them go a long way back. The more they have to go back and handle that puck, they'll get tired a lot faster.
Okay, face-off at center ice. Clark against Sittler, and what a matchup that is. Clark has gone on record, in his opinion, Darryl Sittler, the best center ice man in the National Hockey League today. Quite a tribute. Turnbull fans on a lead pass, picked off by DuPont. Across the Toronto line. Right wing, the backhander wide. Picked up by Lanny McDonald as he tries to move out. Dumped by Clark. Puck comes to center ice. Clark gets a stick on it. Comes loose, and DuPont back in a hurry. Sends Leach across the line. Leach gets by one man, but over to pick up the loose puck is Tiger Williams. Williams, chased by Leach to the left wing boards in the Toronto zone. Lifts at the length of the ice. This will be icing against Toronto. Jim Watson touches up. Face-off back at the Leafs zone.
All right, now we get into what I call torture time. Both clubs starting to get a little tired. Extraordinary pressure. Each side realizing the next goal could be the winner. You don't want to make a mistake, and yet you know there's no going home at the end of regulation play with a tie. An extraordinary roar here is from Chicago, where their new baseball club, the Blue Jays, leading Chicago, the White Sox, 5-2, and that's the final score. So the Toronto entry has now won 6 of their 8 games in the league as Jimmy Watson looks on from the left point.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of baseball fans in this city. The Blue Jays are taking off much like the Expos did in popularity their first season. And the hockey fans in this city are here tonight as they chant, "Go, Leafs, go." The Flyers and the Leafs tied at 2. Face-off to the left of Palmatier. Clark against Sittler. On the draw to Daly. Back to Leafs. The rifle didn't pull the trigger, he just rolled it in front. Clark's centering pass gets by everyone, and the Leafs control. Here comes Sittler through center ice, trying to do it alone. Swept away from him by Jim Watson. Sittler tied up as Daly moves it back to center ice. Gets by Carlisle, but covering up his Pellick. Pellick lifts it into his own bench area, so play is halted right there. Face-off in center ice just outside. Well, it's going to be right on the Toronto blue line.
Neither Reggie Leach nor Billy Barber having much luck as they get the setups. The puck rolls, or they misfire, a little off balance. Get bumped, and that time Leach was in the good position. Clock showing 9:13 remaining in regulation play. We're tied at 2. Leafs got theirs in the first period. The Flyers theirs in the second.
Face-off control by the Flyers at center ice. On the left wing, it's Joe Watson. Drives it down the lane. Comes around the near side. Neely just dumps it back to center ice. Joe Watson has it again. Hits Bladen with a pass along the near side. Almost lost it. Now picked up by Kindrachuk. Kindrachuk gets by Stan Weir through center ice. Lifts it to the Toronto right wing corner. Selesky goes for it along with Neely. Neely rubbed it on the boards. Puck comes loose to Kindrachuk. Oh, and a skate save by Palmatier. He robs Kindrachuk. Bleeding a drive. Following shot, Bridgman, as he had the open net, and he piles right into Palmatier. Boutet moves it quickly into the Flyers zone. Dumps it behind the net. Stevenson spun around by one of the Leafs. That's Boutet. Picked up now by Selesky. Just lifts it to center ice off the stick of Salming. There was a goal all over the stick of Mel Bridgman, but it hopped. Here's Selesky. Puck hopped over his stick. Cleared out of the Toronto end by Turnbull. Picked up by Neely. Neely trying to penetrate. Cuts to the right wing. Gets around Bridgman. Bridgman's going to be going off as the fans call that penalty. That right arm of which did not go up until the fans oohed. The fans call for the penalty, and they're getting it. It's on a delay. It'll be Bridgman for either hooking or tripping. Probably tripping. Salming from the red line to the Flyers' backboard. Selesky on it. Finally called. It's going to be Mel Bridgman for hooking at 12:08. 7:52 left in the regulation time. The score is tied at 2.
Close your eyes, open your mouth, and feel it. New Abbott's ice cream feels so smooth and creamy. New Abbott's ice cream feels so smooth and creamy. Abbott's new smooth and creamy ice cream. It feels so good.
Back here at Toronto, 12 away to the third period. Mel Bridgman for hooking. Flyers' 7th penalty. Mel's first to the playoffs. And the Leafs get their 6th power play.
Right there where Mel Bridgman comes barreling through the puck. Just hopped over his stick, as you mentioned earlier, Gene. He had the whole open net. The puck took a bad bounce, and we would have been leading 3-2.
On the face-off, Toronto's power play. Back to Carlisle. Picked off by Daly. Moves it to center ice on the right wing. To Clark across the Toronto line. Barber can't get a shot off as the puck goes deep in the Toronto zone. Now picked up by McKinney. Quickly out of the zone comes Ferguson. Ferguson with Thompson break. Ferguson cuts to the right face-off circle. Rolls it behind the Flyers net. Picked up by Thompson in the left wing corner, but cleared by Bob Daly the length of the ice. Flyers short shifting as Kindrachuk comes over with Selesky. Here comes Turnbull out of his own zone. Goes right side for McDonald. He's dumped by Selesky. Jim Watson can't clear out, but Kindrachuk does the length of the ice. 1:20 left on Bridgman's penalty. Turnbull sets up behind his own net. Forechecking. Selesky gets a stick on it, but broken up. Losing the puck is Selesky to Dave Tiger Williams. Williams out of his own zone. Drops it off for McDonald. Off to Salming coming out of the zone. Drives from center ice. Stevenson gets a stick on it. Joe Watson can't clear it out. Salming at the right point. Goes to the right wing corner for Sittler. Sittler, top of the circle, the right circle in the right wing corner. Goes to the corner. Joe Watson clears but not out. Salming backhands it behind the net to the left wing corner. All in the Flyers zone. Williams to McDonald in the corner, coming out of the corner. Blocked off and cleared off of Salming by Moose DuPont to center ice. 30 seconds left on Bridgman's penalty. Salming dumps it back in the right wing corner. Joe Watson looks, drives it. Delay outside, but McLeish is going to break as he picks the puck up. Goes to Kindrachuk. Oh, he's up from behind, and no penalty is called. Here comes Sittler across the Flyers line. Butt pass for McDonald. He's broken up. Lead pass picked up at center ice by Lansbury. Goes one-on-one with Salming. Lansbury fires, blocked by Salming. Bridgman is out. Flyers are back full. Daly penetrated, but the pass was behind him. And now it's the Leafs at center ice. Left wing, it's Williams. Williams drives from the line. Short side save, and it's deflected out of play by Stevenson. 5:41 to go in regulation time. It's 2-2.
What's the secret behind Schaefer beer's consistently great taste? Well, it starts with the country pure water that flows into Schaefer's Lehigh Valley Brewery. Then, Schaefer's brewed twice, Kreuzen brewed. For over 130 years, every Schaefer's been Kreuzen brewed for a smooth, crisp, consistently great taste. Schaefer consistency. Put it to the test. You'll find your last one tastes as good as your first.
5:41 left in regulation, and we're tied at 2.
Flyers go with McLeish between Kelly and Dornhofer. And the Leafs counter with Weir between Boutet and Bob Neely. Puck in the Toronto zone. McLeish hits Kelly with a pass. Back to McLeish. Right face-off circle. Almost deflected in off the stick of Boutet. Dornhofer dumped again as the Leafs break out. It's Weir. Left wing pass to Neely. Across the Flyers line. Give and go. Puck hops high in the air, and here comes Kelly. Breaks with Dornhofer. Lead pass to Dorney. Dorney along the right wing boards. Dumps it behind the Toronto net. Carlisle on it for Toronto. Out to Weir. He overskates the puck. Kelly goes for the loose puck. Pellick gets it away from him. Jim Watson can't keep it in. Here comes Bob Neely at center ice. Breaks with Stan Weir. Comes across the line. Weir is tied up by McLeish nicely. And Kelly breaks it out to Leach. He stopped at the Toronto line. Bob Daly can't get his stick on it. Here comes Stan Weir. He wants to get off, so dumps it deep behind the Flyers net. And quickly it's Joe Watson. Up to Reg Leach. Leach cuts to the left wing, gets by McKinney. Leach across the Toronto line. Bullet shot kicked out by Palmatier. Back comes Toronto. Ferguson to McKinney on the right wing. Across the blue line. McKinney. Shot blocked by Joe Watson. Harold Thompson gets his stick on it. Loose puck in front. Stopped by Stevenson. Clear but not all. The backhand is scored. Harold Thompson puts Toronto ahead. 4-2.
Wayne Stevenson never had a chance to see that puck. Traffic was heavy around our net. Puck just kept bouncing. Joey Watson made two nice plays and cleared away here. His puck just was coming back out to the front of the net. He just spun around, backhanded the puck high, up over the shoulder of Wayne Stevenson on the glove side. And Steph never had a chance to see it whatsoever. Gives the Leafs a 3-2 lead here. Gene with 4:09 remaining in the game, so we're going to take it to him right now.
Boy, he really found the needle there because there was a massive humanity up front, and they just continued to press. And Stevenson couldn't get out, but right there, the backhander into the high post, short side corner.
Harold Thompson backhanded that one, Gene, as I mentioned. A lot of heavy traffic in front of Wayne. Joey cleared it. Number 10 just knocked it down with his hand right there off his chest to number 12. He just a desperation backhand by all the players. As I mentioned, Wayne Stevenson never saw it at all until it was by him in the net. So the Leafs take a 3-2 lead here with 4:09 remaining in the third period.
Well, they hung tough, and they got the break, and they scored the goal. Now the Flyers know they've got to get one in here. They might be just about hung up to dry.
McKinney and Ferguson get the assist on Thompson's second playoff goal of the year. Wayne Stevenson has been playing brilliantly, but that one got by him. Here's Randy Carlisle lifting it into the Flyers zone on the Flyers left wing, knocked down by Jim Watson. Watson picks up the loose puck, drives it down the left lane. Palmatier puts it back to the far wing, intercepted by Bridgman. Cranked up but couldn't get the shot off as Weir tied him up from behind. Bridgman fans again. Kindrachuk in to help out. Goes behind the Toronto net. Trying to get to the puck. Carlisle had him wrapped up. Reversed direction by Neely. Kept in by Jim Watson. Now it's Carlisle moving it around the near side. DuPont will try to keep it in and does. To Kindrachuk. Kindrachuk behind the Leafs net. Kindrachuk comes back to DuPont. The drive. Loose puck in front of Selesky. Had it, but overskated it. And now it's Mike Pellick clearing the puck the length of the ice. This will be icing against Toronto.
Well, the Flyers have come awfully close, but again, the Leafs push them out of the way. They get the bounce to make the big save, and they're up 3-2, and 3 minutes and 12 seconds away from possible destiny.
Our fellas are pushing, Gene. Just one half a stride away on that one. Moose DuPont got it on an out-of-town scoreboard. The Islanders still lead Buffalo 4-3. That last shot by Moose DuPont, right through, on net. Palmatier made the save, and Don Selesky had made a half a step in to sort of screen Palmatier. The puck went right back to where Big Bird had been standing. If it had been a half a stride slower in that thing, he'd had a whole open net to put it in, but if for skiff, we'd all be sailors, Don. So we need one right now to get back in this game.
Well, that's what makes the game of hockey what it is. The bounce of the puck, where it is at the right time. Face off to the left of Palmatier. McLeish against Ferguson. On the draw. It goes in on Palmatier. Routine save. Daly trying to keep it in. Dornhofer does. Drives it to the left wing corner from the right point position. McKinney quickly on it. Clears it out the stick of McLeish to center ice across the way. Dornhofer takes down Ferguson. Takes down another man, and we've got an offside called against Toronto as Dornhofer First took Ferguson out of the play and down. And getting up slowly is Jim McKinney. Well, I guess they're all deserting me, all heading downstairs, so I'll stay with you up here. On the face-off, McLeish battles for it, cuts to the left wing boards, tries it down the wing, stopped by Palmatier behind the net, picked up now by Turnbull, lifts it into the crowd right down below us on the Flyers' right wing as the clock shows 2:44 left. Flyers down by 1, trying to climb back in this one and force sudden death overtime. On that last skirmish in front of Stevenson, it was a backhander by Thompson through a heavy screen of traffic that beat Stevenson short side. And of course the cheer of the partisan Toronto fans. And it wasn't always this way here in Toronto. For years, a very staid, a very quiet, a very straight-laced crowd. But there's new and younger blood that form the nucleus of Leaf followers in Toronto, and they're loud. Now it's Clark against Sittler to the left of Palmatier. Lonsbury goes to the right wing corner, battles Turnbull for it. Has it behind the net. Goes back to Daly. Daly across on the left to DuPont. Shot deflected high and out of play behind the Toronto net as he was gunning for the equalizer. Face-off will be at the inner edge of the far face-off circle to the right of Palmatier. 3-2 Toronto. 2:33 left in regulation time. Darryl Sittler having a fantastic playoff year. 15 points. He's 12 away from tying the all-time playoff record held jointly by Phil Esposito of the Rangers and Frank Mahovlich, formerly of Toronto and Detroit. On the face-off, Clark with Sittler, but it comes to center ice. DuPont has it there. He's broken up, but gets the pass off to Lonsbury. Dumps it back in behind Palmatier. Deals it away from McDonald. Kept in by DuPont. Caught, but a hand pass is detected, and correctly so. Face-off on the outside of the Toronto zone. Out of town late in the final period. The Buffalo Sabres are making a last gasp effort to prevent from going down to their third straight. Don Luce from Craig Ramsey and Jerry Korab. Korab has had a fine night tonight. It's Islanders 4-3 over Buffalo late in the final period, the regulation period. Clark against Sittler just outside the Toronto line. Leafs control. Flyers need the puck, and they need to drive one home quick. Dumped in at long range by Tom Bladen. Palmatier has to scramble as he mishandled the puck and tied it up behind the goal line, and that should be a penalty. And Ron Wicks is not going to call it. Bobby Clark is boiling. That is a penalty clearly stated in the rule book, but Ron Wicks will not call it. A goaltender cannot tie up play behind his own goal line. And he clearly did. Puck cleared behind the net. Palmatier fanned on his attempt and then jumped on it, still on the backside of the Toronto goal line. That, my friend, is a penalty. But the Flyers will not get benefit of it. Oh, well. Face off to the right of Palmatier. Clark against Sittler. A very crucial game for the Flyers. They need this game to climb back and hopefully start turning the momentum around. Clark back to Bridgman, to Jim Watson. In front to Lonsbury, but it's tipped by the stick of Salming over the glass and out of play. We'll try it again. 2:03 left in the game. And I'll tell you, there's nary a soul leaving this building. Nary a soul. Again, it's Clark against Sittler. Alas, tonight, the Flyers will, as the old cliche says, will have their backs literally against the wall. Face-off circle violation. McLeish on the inner edge of the circle. Sticks it down. Puck comes back to Jim Watson. Can't get a shot away. Loose puck in front. McLeish can't get his backhander as Palmatier made a big skate save off a drive by Clark. Here's Bladen from the right point. Hit the goal post. Clark, short side stuffer. He's driven back by Sittler, and Tempers get a bit frayed behind the Toronto net. Sittler just drove into Clark, tried to drive him right through the backboard to drive him off the puck and out of the Toronto crease. Well, I'll tell you. Darryl Sittler as Palmatier looking up after that last situation, talking with Lanny McDonald. He's slow to get to his feet. He came into tonight's game with a 1.52 goals against average, undefeated through his first 3 ever NHL playoff games. Looking at that last skirmish around Palmatier, Clark got a piece of that on a blind shot. Great left skate save by Palmatier. Prevented that puck from going in. 1:47 left in regulation time. The Leafs lead the Flyers by 1. It's 3-2. Clark converses with DuPont. And we're just about set for the face-off, this time to the left of the Toronto net. And now Clark moves out again to converse with Bob Daly. A very crucial face-off right here. We'll keep our eyes on Stevenson to see when he might be pulled. On the draw, comes back to Daly. Daly fires from the right point, but it's cleared the length of the ice by Turnbull on Stevenson. Daly back on it. 1:35 left in regulation time. Up to McLeish in the left wing. Sends Clark away. Wing to wing for Leach. Across the line, Daly can't keep the puck in the zone. It's cleared out of play by Ian Turnbull, and let's see, they're going to drop it just outside the Toronto blue line, as both Turnbull and Daly are slow to get up. Right now, Errol Thompson's second playoff goal from McKinney and Ferguson stands as the game winner. Darryl Sittler tonight continues his red-hot scoring. He's got a goal and an assist. Face-off will be between Clark and Ferguson. Bill Barber off the Flyers bench back to talk to Wayne Stevenson as Red Kelly and Fred Shero keep their charges alive. Stevenson will move out when the moment is right. Okay, it's Clark between Leach and McLeish. Barber and Daly. And this is normally your power play alignment. Flyers going with their power. They need one to climb back in a tie. Face-off controlled by nobody right now. Clark can't keep it in the zone. Comes to center ice. Daly broken up. Daly has Ferguson tied up to Leach. His lead pass to Clark off the mark. Now picked up by Barber. Across the Toronto line. He's checked off the puck. Leach in the right wing corner. Right across in front. Blocked off by Carlisle, and here comes Pillock. Barber can't keep the puck in the zone. Drive from long range goes to the Flyers' left wing corner. Stevenson taps it behind. 1 minute left in regulation time. Here comes Daly. Left wing pass through center ice, and Stevenson is out. McLeish inside the Toronto zone. Dumps it behind the net. Picked up by Thompson. Now here's Leach. Short side save. Loose puck in front is tied up. Right in front of the Toronto crease. Red Kelly. Fred Shero. 44 seconds left. Flyers need one to send this game into sudden death overtime. Face-off when play resumes as Palmatier again is slow to get to his feet, will be in the circle to his left. Flyers goal is wide open. Stevenson has been pulled. The Flyers going for broke. They trail in this game 3-2. They trail in the series 2-0. A loss tonight puts them down 3. They'd have to win all 4 remaining games to survive in this year's playoff round. Third period. Flyers send out Clark, Dornhofer, McLeish, Lonsbury, Barber, and Bob Daly. Red Kelly has Sittler, Lanny McDonald, Dave Tiger Williams, Ian Turnbull, and Boreas Selming. Who else would you expect? Now McLeish comes back to talk to Fred Shiro across the way. All sorts of signs, and primarily pro-Maple Leaf signs all over Maple Leaf Gardens. One of the really historic hockey arenas in the National Hockey League. Housed the likes of the great King Clancy as a player, later as a coach. Ted Kennedy, Howie Meeker, Babe Pratt, so many greats. The great kid line of Primo, Jackson, and Conacher. Okay, set to go. Clark against Sittler, to the left of Palmateer. 44 seconds, and the Flyers have got to make it count. On the face-off, controlled by Turnbull, broken up by Daly, cleared but not out. McLeish scores! McLeish scores, and this game is going to go into overtime. And the Flyers' entire bench clears. McLeish found a hole in the dark clouds that were beginning to loom over the Flyers, and he punched one right through that hole that beat Palmateer, and this game is tied at 3. Now McLeish may get credit for it. It might have been tipped in by someone else, but at this point, let's pick up the announcement. McLeish gets credit for it. Unassisted. This game is tied at 3. And Rick McLeish picks up his second playoff goal. And it comes at 19:22 of regulation time, the third period. Well, don't go away at home. We've still got a lot of hockey to go. McLeish got that loose puck in the face-off circle to the left of Palmateer and just wristed it through the screen, and the Flyers are alive again. Face-off at center ice pairs McLeish against Weir. As Stevenson is back in, of course, Barber lifts the backhander in wide of Palmateer, who sets it up for Randy Carlyle. 30 seconds left in regulation time, and this will be the first game in this year's playoff series to go into sudden death overtime. Joe Watson broken up behind the Flyers net. Watson gets it back again. 15 seconds left. Kept in by Pellick. Deflected. Weir drives wide. Flyers can ill afford to make a mistake here. Loose puck back to Carlyle. The drive blocked off and cleared by Dornhofer on Palmateer, and that'll do it. The bell sounds. This game is going into sudden death overtime. The score at the regulation time, the Flyers 3, Toronto 3. Back here at Maple Leaf Garden, first game of this year's Stanley Cup playoffs to go into sudden death overtime, and it's the Flyers coming from behind to do it as the momentum in that final period swung back and forth. Pretty much it was a Flyers period, but Errol Thompson's backhanded through a heavy load of Leaf traffic in front of Stevenson gave them a 3-2 lead at 15:51. McKinney and Ferguson the assists, and the Flyers in the waning seconds with Stevenson pulled at 19:22 got the game tire by Rick McLeish, his second goal of the playoffs, score tied 3-3 unassisted, and it sends tonight's game into sudden death overtime. The shots in the period, the Flyers had 13, a 3-period total of 35. The Leafs had 8, a 3-period total of 27. 3-3 after regulation time, and we'll be back with our special guest in a moment. Back here at Maple Leaf Gardens, our guest is Flyers forward Harvey Bennett, and Harvey is occupying the booth right next to ours. And every now and then I can feel his heart beating a little faster, especially late in that third period. Harvey, sudden death, man, that's what it's all about in playoffs.
I guess so, but thank God we got there. It was a tremendous shot by Rick. I'm just so happy that, you know, we can extend it to overtime. I thought we're down 3-0. It's going to be awful hard to come back from that, but now we have a chance to make it 2-1, and it's so great. I'm so happy about it.
What's your feelings overall about tonight's game thus far?
I think the Flyers have played a great game. I thought they were going to lose it on a crummy behind the backhand that went into the upper left corner. I thought, what a way to lose it. Maybe the Leafs are a team of destiny, and maybe Palmateer is a goalie of destiny. But now it's the beginning again. He has to make miracles happen again, and I really believe we have the momentum going. We have to have the scoring like that, and I think we can win.
The Flyers, after two games at the Spectrum, in which really they couldn't get cranked up either way, defensively or offensively, are showing tonight two things that we know exist: resiliency, the ability to bounce back, and that old offensive flair that we know they possess.
Yes, this Philadelphia team is a team of guts, real heart men, guys who give everything they can when they're down. Like the road trip to Los Angeles, it was all guts, and that's what they're doing tonight. They're playing a great game tonight, and if we can come out and win this game, we're right back in it, and you can never tell what can happen.
A lot of people who have never played the game may be interested as a bystander, a season ticket holder, what have you, but you know, if you've never played this game, I think it's rather difficult to understand just what momentum can be in this type of a sport.
It is. Even when you play, it's hard to understand, but things just seem to happen to go your way, and you get a little extra energy, and you just can make a little extra play that maybe you wouldn't make ordinarily, and that's what we got now, and I sure hope we can win. I hope it's not long, because I think I'm going to die. It's harder up here watching than it is down there. I can't believe it. I'm swearing at the referee from the booth. It's unbelievable, but I hope we can win.
I must admit there were a few calls or a lack of calls in that stretch of the final few minutes that I even questioned myself. The one perhaps the most flagrant was when Palmateer tied up the puck behind his own goal line, which is clearly stated in the rule book as a 2-minute minor for delay of game.
Yes, that, and also I thought, when you're down in the third period of a playoff game, you call a penalty like that on Mel. I really have to question that. Plus, the linesmen, to me, tonight, aren't doing a real good job. There's been a few offsides they've missed. Icing one time, I couldn't believe. And you're just expecting a playoff game to get playoff play from the referees and the linesmen. And, well, I hope it doesn't come down to one of their decisions whether we win or lose.
Of course, you talk to anyone around the game, especially those in the officials, and they say, we don't put the puck in the net. That's up to you guys.
Sometimes they can really help. I'm not sure whether they got 2 or 3 power play goals tonight, but it must mean something when you get, it's only 2, and it must mean something. They got 2 the other night, and I sure hope that doesn't happen.
Well, of course, penalties have been a big part of this period. We did some quick figuring. The Leafs have scored, coming into tonight's game, including tonight's first period, it scored 9 goals against the Flyers, all told. 7 of them in the first period, and 5 of those 7 on the power play.
I know. Well, we're past the first period anyways, and same thing could have happened tonight as happened the other nights. They got up 2-0, and it could have made it 3-0, and that didn't happen, and we're back in the game 3-3, and I guess it can go any way in overtime. Any bounce of the puck can go to either side, but I'm really optimistic.
Well, you got to stay optimistic, and we'll be back to talk more hockey with Flyers forward Harvey Bennett in just a moment. We're talking with Flyers forward Harvey Bennett between the end of regulation time and the beginning of tonight's first sudden death overtime, and let's hope it's the first and only. But at any rate, Harvey, have you ever been involved in sudden death overtime before as a player?
Yes, I have several times. Not in the National Hockey League, but in the American League and International League also.
What's the feeling down below and in the dressing room before you come back out?
Well, you know, every time you're out there, you have to give your utmost in order to prevent them from scoring and trying to score yourself. I think you tend to be a little defensive, if anything. And I don't know. I would love to be down there now, but I'm kind of happy I'm not, because I'm so nervous here. I don't know what I'd be like down there.
What was going through your mind in that waning 45 or 30 seconds?
Oh, I don't pray very often, but I actually had my head down praying when they were having that face-off. And when the puck went in the net, I almost hit my head on the roof.
As I said, he's in the booth right next to us, and we can hear what's going on. Harvey, you talk to the Flyers themselves, you talk to Flyers fans, you get mixed feelings, but with the Flyers themselves, I was amazed, being down 2 games, and especially losing in your own building, how bright, alive, and confident they still are.
That's true. These guys have been in bad positions before, and they have so much guts and willpower that they are always able to drag themselves out. And even if it doesn't go their way, it won't be because they're not trying, because we really felt bad losing 2 at home, and we knew we put ourselves in a precarious position, but we have the confidence to come back. We're not quitters, I guess, and I sure hope we can win tonight. I'd rather come back from 2-1 to 3-0.
Of course, you can't win your second up here until you win your first, and no time like the present to start.
That's for sure, and 2-1, we'll have a lot of motivation and momentum going into the next game, make it 2-2 and come home in a lot better shape than I'm sure a lot of people thought we'd be.
We talked briefly during the late stages of that third period. It appeared to us, and I'd like your observations, that the Leafs were beginning to show signs of getting weary and tired.
I think they're afraid of losing. I think that when you win, you develop a habit of winning, but you become afraid of losing. And I think that's what they are right now. They're so afraid of losing and being up 2-0 and blowing it that maybe it's starting to show, maybe a little scared to do anything with the puck. And I hope it keeps on going in overtime. I hope if they say they have youth, I hope it shows. And I have to think just the character that's on the Philadelphia team that's really going to come out in this overtime period.
I would have to think that on one hand, the Flyers have enjoyed, I would think, the lion's share of the momentum tonight after that bad first period. It swung back the other way, but this is Toronto's home building. I would have to think that if there's any leaning one way or the other, you'd have to lean a little towards Toronto. That crowd behind you has got to be a big plus.
Well, I guess it has to be, but I'm just going to have to go by the past reputations of the people here. The guys, they had the crowd behind them the whole game, but the guys just keep on making the big plays. And if it wasn't for Palmetier, we wouldn't be sitting here now. We'd be going home with a victory.
Or not quite home, because we've still got another one to go. Excuse me. My voice has been on the verge of going, too, as this has been one of the real thrillers that we've had the opportunity and the pleasure of broadcasting. Harvey, Mel Bridgman back in action tonight. You're available come Sunday night. And I've got a feel if the Flyers can pull this one out tonight, look out, Leafs on Sunday.
I think so. Like I said, when you're down 2-1, all you have to do is even it up. And I'll be really happy to be in a 2-1 position.
Okay, that pretty much wraps it up. The officials are back out. I hate to cut in on you, Harvey, but we got to get set for...
We drew up here on overtime play. The Flyers' all-time record is 8 victories and 5 losses in overtime. And the record on the road is they've won 5 and lost 5. And they picked up one overtime victory here in Game 4 of their sweep 2 years ago on April 12th. At 1:48 of overtime in the third period of the overtime, DuPont scoring from Schultz against Gordon McRae. And the Leafs overall are 32 wins, 27 losses, and because of the advent of sudden death overtime ties, they do have one in their history. And here at Maple Leaf Gardens, they're 21-18-1. And we're trying to think the last time they had an overtime game here and won it was 3 years ago. But they're 0-1 against Philadelphia. Last year, the Flyers only had one, Don. And that was Leach at 12-18 of overtime play against Cheevers. They desperately need the win here.
Well, of course, you know, you think about sudden death play, and I can't help but remember, and I don't think I'll ever forget Gary Dornhofer's overtime goal in the win against Minnesota 4 years ago.
What makes this so breathtaking and spine-tingling is that bouncing shots, there's no recall, no chance to get back. A bounce, a deflection, and you're in the well. It'll be Sittler out there with McDonald and Williams, along with Turnbull and Salming. The Flyers go Leach with Clark and Lonsbury, Daly with Jimmy Watson. Stevenson right, Palmetier left. 3-3 the score as we go overtime. Bobby Clark getting set for the draw. Goes back to the Flyer line. They'll be moving right to left. Jimmy comes up and over that center ice red line. Fires it past Lonsbury. Past Palmetier to the far side for Williams. He's bumped off, kicked in front. The Leafs clear but not out. Bob Daly tries a shot blocked to the near side. And it's dumped off Leach's stick to center ice by Lanny McDonald. Back to Jimmy Watson through at the Leaf line for Lonsbury. Over the line Clark, but he knew that he was offside as Leach had preceded him by a good stride.
Of course, you got to wonder, too, Gene, with rookie Mike Palmatier in goal. This has got to be probably the hottest pressure situation he's ever had to face in his young athletic career.
Well,
and how will he stand up under it? Thus far, he's shown that he's a real pro, but this is where the pressure cooker comes.
here's the guy that could do the damage. Incredible 15 points in this is sixth playoff game. The game is over in Buffalo, and the Islanders 4 and the Sabres 3 down, so they go up 3-0. All right, back to Pelech, who's out there with Carlisle, and Ferguson, who tips it the length of the ice, and the Leafs are going to be whistled for icing as DuPont is there to touch up.
That is a final. Of course, Boston will be on the coast later tonight against L.A. That game will be underway, should be getting underway within the next 5 minutes or so. And Montreal will be in St. Louis tomorrow night. There is the final score. Islanders 4, Sabres 3.
McLeish, Dornhofer, Barber, Daly, and DuPont. Leafs go behind the net. They have Pelech with Carlisle, and they got Thompson right out in front. They lose the puck. And Billy Barber looking for a shot through a screen. Save, rebound, and jammed off the short side by McLeish, taken away by Carlisle. Up at center ice, past the Leafs, Ferguson and McKinney deep into the zone over the Flyer goal line. DuPont behind the net, tied up by McKinney, wants to protect the puck, does, and will probably get a stoppage of play with a face-off to the right of Stevenson. Let's pause for station identification on the Flyers Hockey Network.
WTAF-TV Channel 29, Philadelphia, a Taft station.
Flyers in regulation time outshot Toronto 35-27. And again, the old bugaboo, that first period letdown by the Flyers almost proved their undoing here again tonight. A pair of power play goals. Sittler, his 5th goal of the playoffs, and Turnbull his 3rd, gave Toronto a 2-0 first period lead.
Kindrachuk out with Zaleski, Bridgman, Joe Watson, and Daly. And they go Weir with McNeely and Boutet. Puck behind the Flyer net. Trying to center, and not doing so is Weir. Now trying a stuffer is Neely. That's blocked off. As here comes Kindrachuk with Zaleski and Bridgman. 3-on-3 against Salming. Kindrachuk shot blocked by Salming. Gets his own rebound in the left wing corner. Wants to dump a pass in. Has nowhere to go. Salming pulls him down as it goes behind the Leaf net. Salming tries to lift it past Zaleski. Far wing to Neely. Neely coming out at his own line. Up ice. Rink-wide pass for Boutet. Still on the offensive side of center. Rolls it into the Flyer corner. We're after Joe Watson. Cleared up along the near side and off. Salming skate back into the Flyer zone offside as referee Ron Wicks tripped over Mel Bridgman along the near side in the Flyer zone.
I would have to think that if Ron Wicks is going to call a penalty either way in this sudden death overtime, it's got to be pretty flagrant because it's so crucial for both clubs. The first goal wins it, and it's all over.
We played 129 of overtime. Sittler out there with, again, Lenny, McDonald, and Williams, along with Pelech and Carlisle. And the Flyers go Lonsbury, Clark, and Leach with DuPont and Jimmy Watson. Lonsbury along the near side, tied up. Sittler tries to dump it in. It goes back to Carlisle. Now he lifts it in the Flyer zone, blocked at the circle right of Stevenson by DuPont, shot out. Pelech drives it right back in on Stevenson, grabs it to the side of the net, plays off to DuPont, challenged by Sittler and McDonald. Blocked off and finally taken away by Lonsbury. Through to Clark at center. Can't get past Carlisle. McDonald dumps it back to his own line. Carlisle will it again. Gives it away into the Philadelphia zone to Jimmy Watson as all the players now a half step slower and winded. Out to center to Lonsbury. Goes right under him the length of the ice, and the Flyers are going to be whistled for icing as it's caught up to now by Mike Pelech.
Mike Pelech, of course, originally a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs before moving over to the WHA and made several stops along the way, is back again. And Red Kelly, of course, who is coaching Toronto in his first year back here after moving from L.A., had Pelech and is very happy to have him back again. And
Sabres. Oh, go ahead, Don.
I was going to say, Pelech and Carlisle have stood up tall in this series thus far.
Yeah, remember last year the Sabres won the first 2 from the Islanders, who won the next 4. Now they've taken the first 3, so that's 7 in a row against the Sabres. Thompson out there with McKinney and Ferguson, Salming and Turnbull. Flyers go Clark with Leach and Lonsbury, Daly, and DuPont. Clark gets the draw back to the left of Stevenson, taken behind the net by DuPont. Swings out the near side, right up in front and away from Ferguson and through to Clark at center. Looking for Leach. It's behind him, in offside, and Clark touches up and we get the whistle.
That puck was just delayed ever so slightly en route from Clark to Leach, and with Leach's breakaway speed, that's what forced the outside as he flew past the puck and into the zone a bit too quick. We're 2 minutes, 20 seconds into sudden death overtime. Score tied, 3-3.
All right, back to the center ice line. Jimmy Watson off the glass, down around behind the leaf net. Now Turnbull has trouble with it, loses it behind the net. The Barber tries to stuff it on front. McLeish is there. The Barber in the near corner. Behind the McLeish. McLeish looks for help in front, doesn't get it. Tries to center to Barber, comes out to Daly with a drive. That's well wide of the net. And Jimmy Watson doesn't gamble on penetrating. And it's lifted down the ice past Thompson to Daly. Through to Dornhofer at the leaf line along the far wing. Penetrates. Through to Daly. He's in. Shot. And Turnbull, or Sounding, blocked that one. As Dornhofer's still down to McLeish in the slot. Score! McLeish scores! And the Flyers win it!
What a comeback. What a comeback. And this could prove to be the big momentum shift the Flyers have been working toward. McLeish sent it into sudden death overtime with his second. And he scores the sudden death winner at 2 minutes, 55 seconds of the sudden death overtime period. 2:55, the magic number. McLeish will pick up the assists as soon as they're announced, if in fact there are any. Final score, Flyers 4, Toronto 3.
Now, while it's still hurting, hear this. The DMC Tax-Free Income Trust Pennsylvania gives you income that is free of federal income tax, free of Pennsylvania income tax and personal property taxes. And all you need is a $1,000 initial investment. DMC Tax-Free Income Trust. See your securities dealer or call collect area code 215-988-1321. Discover how you can take advantage of DMC Tax-Free Income now.
Back here at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, a big win for the Flyers, and it came off the stick of the guy that you'd expect it to come off of, who had a big year during regular season play, Rick McLeish, at 2:55 of sudden death overtime from Bob Daly. And the final score, the Flyers win it 4-3, their first win of the series. The shots in the period, 2-1 for the Flyers in the game, 37-29. Final score, 4-3. The Flyers win their first over Toronto.
Wow, what the heck's the difference?
Right now.
Tonight's Stanley Cup quarterfinal round action between the Flyers and the Toronto Maple Leafs was brought to you by Schaefer Beer. Try Schaefer, the beer that's brewed twice, poisoned for consistent great taste. By Gerard Bank, the bank that brings you the best in sports and the best in banking. By the people from Ford, who have the best show on the road, 77 Fords. See your Ford dealer today. By the Rustler Steakhouses in the Delaware Valley area, where a good old-fashioned steak dinner still costs about $2.50. And by the Philadelphia Midas Mufflers dealers, who say that when it comes to your car, don't compromise. Midas-size. Flyers Hockey is presented by the Philadelphia Flyers TV and radio department, produced and directed by Harlan Singer. Travel arrangements by Admiral Travel. This has been a Channel 29 sports presentation.
Schaefer's consistently great taste starts with country pure water, flowing down to the Schaefer Brewery in Lehigh Valley. Here, only country pure water is good enough to be Croisen brewed. That's brewing twice. For over 130 years, it's given every Schaefer a smooth, crisp, consistently great taste. Schaefer consistency. Put it to the test. You'll find your last one tastes as good as your first.
Daddy, isn't there anything fun to do today?
Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth. It will thrill you and tempt you, startle you and surprise you. The most spectacular entertainment sensation you'll ever experience.
See it at the Spectrum, Tuesday, June 7th to Sunday, June 19th.
The excitement continues on the Finance America postgame show. A complete wrap-up of all the Flyers action, sponsored by Finance America, a Bank America company. Here are the highlights of the game, the goals, the penalties, the big plays, and a live interview with the Flyers star of the game. It's all brought to you by Finance America, the company to see when you need a loan. Because Finance America wants to put a jingle in your pocket.
Down here outside the Flyers dressing room, Terry Crisp along with Coach Mike Nicolak. And if you hear a funny thumping on your radio or on your television, don't turn it off or look for it. It's not technical trouble. It's Mike and My's heart going here, a little bit overtime. Mike, I come down out of the gondola, stood beside you, 38 seconds to go, and I said, don't worry, Michael, Ricky's going to tie it up. We're going into overtime. Cutie run that one through for us and did it. You're standing beside me in overtime, Mike. Don't know who the lady was beside you. You can explain that to your wife later who you lifted up. When Ricky put the overtime goal in when the net bulged, I seen you go. Mike, a game coming in here, we're down 2 into their building. How'd you sum it up when you were coming into Toronto?
Well, I'll tell you, Terry, I mean, you know, the guys have just got to be going crazy in that room. But I'll sum it up this way. We come in here, we were going to play really tight, and we're down 2 goals. They scored 2 goals on a power play. So we decided in the second period we were going to go right after them again. And I think this time the big thing and that really changed it around, I thought, was the fact that we got on top of their defensemen a lot quicker than we did in Philadelphia, and they didn't have the opportunity to flip it out like the way they were doing in Philadelphia. And I think that really put a lot of pressure on them, and as you could see, Terry, they were sort of getting tired towards the end in that. I really saw that anyway.
Our legs were starting to come, Mike. And we discussed earlier, the Leafs had that one system there, that long football play almost, dumping it down. I know that we practiced our last day at home how to sort of send a defenseman back, send the 2 in to do against it. Tonight they reversed it on us. They just sort of passed it up, come to us. And the big thing, I think, difference, Mike, and you noticed it, you told me just before we went to overtime, the penalties in this series, the power plays. It was very obvious tonight what was going on.
Well, you know, it's so hard. I mean, you know, it's okay in the first couple periods, you know, they were fairly even. But then, you know, you get in the third period, the score's tied 2-2. And, you know, like just like I was arguing with Scotty Morrison there, you know, I said, I just can't believe that, you know, in the third period when they cut those 2 penalties that they called were really nothing plays in that. They're the kind that you see referees let go, and especially in playoff hockey, Terry, you know, you've got to, you know, the man that's refereeing the game has got to use his common sense. That just because the crowd hollers or something because a Leaf player falls down doesn't mean that, you know, a Philadelphia player deserves a penalty. So, you know, it's really frustrating, but I'll tell you, you know, you got to give our guys a lot of credit, Terry. I mean, they just work. Geez, that was just something super.
We're not going to cry the blues on this one at all, Mike. We come in here, I said earlier, we're down 2 games. We're down a goal with about 38 seconds to go in it. We come back. Maybe you can describe, Ricky. I have said to the children I've at hockey schools, you run hockey schools, all the kids are out there practicing the big wind-up, the slap shot, the boom off the glass. You can tell Ricky's want to put it into overtime, and the one he scored in overtime for the winner, what did it for him?
Well, I'll tell you, Terry, the way I look at Ricky, he's got the most dangerous wrist shot that I think Lanny McDonald might come close, but I think Ricky's shot is he just gets it away so quick, and it goes like a bullet, and you saw that. I always feel that on our power play, I mean, I always feel that, you know, that we should be trying to get the puck to Ricky or Reggie, you know, for their shots and that, and unfortunately it hasn't worked that way. I don't think Ricky has had any shots at all in the power play. It just seems like, you know, we just can't get the puck to either Ricky or Reggie. But if we ever do, I really feel that our power play is going to start working for us, and we're going to start scoring a lot of goals because those 2 guys really have tremendous shots.
Mike, one last quick before I just wind up here on a good note. A nice overtime win. We're right back in at 2-1. A big fire back home, Garden State. How is the Flyers' horse Canadian region? Is it all right?
Not you too, Terry. Gene gave it to me last time. I only want to tell Dolly that that was my sister-in-law that I was holding.
Thanks, Mike, very much for joining us. Join the fellas in there. After this commercial break, we're right back with Gene Hart and his special guest.
Sorry, darling.
That's it. We need another bathroom. Gentleman at the top of the stairs.
Honey, can we afford it? What's that?
I applied for a loan at Finance America.
Yeah?
They put a jingle in my pocket.
A jingle?
Gloria, Finance America is part of Bank America.
Yeah?
And they can lend money for all kinds of worthwhile needs.
My own bathroom.
Our own bathroom.
Let Finance America put a jingle in your pocket.
Back here at Maple Leaf Gardens, Bob Daly and Joe Watson. And Joe, with us for 10 years, I can only think of two things now while everybody's whooping it up in the dressing room. All I can hear you is saying, that's the old Flyers, it's the old Flyers. And there's a guy back at Hahnemann Hospital who's just sitting there saying it's about damn time.
I'll tell you, boy, first of all the players want to say hi to Barry, and we really miss him and everything else, and it's too bad he can't be here, but we really, you know, he'll be with us in about 2 or 3 weeks, so we're really looking forward to that. And like I say again, we all want to say hi to Barry, and just a tremendous person, and we really miss him here, and he'll be back with us shortly.
Bob Daly, end of first period, you're down 2-0, the power play again, and just what was the dressing room reaction?
Well, we were down 2 goals. We knew we had to fight back, and of course we did in the second period, but we had to bring everything together. The power play wasn't working too well. They were standing up at the blue line, and we weren't throwing in, we weren't getting the passes, you know, through onto the net, and the shots weren't going on the net, and it happened in the second period. We got it going, and then in the third period, Ricky, of course, comes up big again.
He's amazing, and Joe, all you could say while we were off cameras, what a wrist shot.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, when he tied the game up there, he picked the far corner, and then in the overtime he picked the same corner again with the same wrist shot. You know, I mean, the second one he scored, the winning goal scored, that was a little further out. But my gosh, you know, he's got a real asset there. That wrist shot of his is just tremendous. You know, and Ferdy's always stressing use the wrist shot from 35 to 40 feet out, and there's nobody does except for Ricky. And look how many goals Ricky's gets. So you know, if I think if other guys did it, you know, of course guys don't have the strongest wrist and forearms that Ricky has. You know, so it's pretty tough. But there's not too many guys can score a wrist shot from where he scored tonight, especially the winning goal.
Gentlemen, I want to ask the both of you, so lean over. Don and I and Terry both felt that at the 10-minute mark of the second period, they really started to feel the fatigue, and plays that had possibilities of coming to fruition just failed because they couldn't reach the puck, they were tired, and they could no longer make the big play.
Well, it was warm in there tonight, and again, you go with 4 defensemen, I think you're going to get tired a little bit faster than we are with 6. We were forechecking them, we were putting 2 men in on top of them, and it's hard on the defensemen, and it's hard on the forwards because they have to keep coming back. If we're just keep dumping in it, we didn't really play a fancy game, and we threw the puck into their end, made them chase it, and this is where it comes out.
And getting back to this again, you know, Ferdy always stresses he utilizes his whole 17 men, where some other coaches use the 3 lines and 4 defensemen, and that's it. You know, if Ferdy uses the 6 defensemen, and plus we have 3 forward lines and 2 extra forwards, so you know, basically he throws all the guys out there, you know. And they get, most of the guys get equal time out there, and he uses all 17 players, whereas some other teams you only use maybe 13 or 14 players. So I think that in the long run this is going to catch up to the team, and I think that it was quite evident tonight. We dominated after the first period and a quarter. You know, I thought we dominated the whole game again. You know, we had better chances, but like we said again, we couldn't score. And of course, you know, they definitely did play well, but they played that defensive style again. But you know, this game tonight, you know, where we get the winning goal here, and of course we tied up there late in the game. You know, it's bound to demoralize them and give us a big lift, and I think this is what we need to get us going. And I mean, we've always been confident that we're going to, you know, come back and win this thing, and I think this is really going to give us an extra, extra lift now. And it's definitely, you know, it's in our favor.
Gentlemen, Red Kelly was quoted as saying that this, despite the 2-0 lead that he had, this was the game he feared. Do you agree with him?
Oh, I think so. If we would have got in any deeper and lost the game tonight, we would, you know, it would have been really tough to come back. The Islanders did it a couple of years ago against Pittsburgh, but to come back 4 games straight after losing 3 against a team like this is playing this well, it'd be really tough on us, and you never know if you could do it. But we got the one game now, and we're ready to go.
Joe, while we're all here, Harlan Singer asked me to take this time now to make the official presentation to Joe Watson as the first winner of the Grizzly Cup, symbolic of the goal-scoring championship of Smithers, as you edged out your brother in a titanic battle, 4-3.
Well, that is nice, I'll tell you. It definitely is, my gosh. And more than likely, that's the only time I'm going to win it, too. My brother will probably win it for years to come now.
For being our guest, and I think on a hot evening, this is a marvelous first gift. Abbott's, the oldest dairy in the ice cream capital of the world, presents you a year's supply of smooth and creamy ice cream. It's so smooth, so creamy, and it feels so good. And a gift certificate from Morton's Jewelers, 3 locations. Cherry Hill at the Ellisburg Shopping Center, over the Bucks County Mall in Feasterville, and down in the Carter Shopping Center in Pleasantville, New Jersey. And the great gift of magic markers, so Joe can draw on his house in Smithers. A professional and amateur with the professional and the broad point pens and all the other nonsense, you know, whatever it is.
Ryan will take care of that.
Okay. Wherever we are, we're going to say we're going to go back to Don Earl upstairs, but he's right here, so hang on for the recap of this thriller and the NHL scoreboard updated after we pause.
Finance America thinks this is a perfect place to talk about goals. Not the kind I score, the kind you plan for. If there's something you really want to do but don't have the cash, that's where Finance America comes in. They can put a jingle in your pocket. They want to lend you the money for the things you want. Take that vacation. Buy what you've been waiting for. Whatever your goal,
you'll get a big assist from Finance America, a Bank America company.
Back downstairs here at Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens, we're going to get launched right into the replays of tonight's big goals. And again, as it's been in the first two games, it was a Toronto first period. Darryl Sittler's fifth goal of the year on a power play from McDonald and Salming got the game underway.
And Cup, and it just slides right between Steph's pads, giving the Leafs a quick 1-0 lead. Right there, Steph turned his foot.
Late in the first period, Bob Kelly off for tripping. This time it was Turnbull on the power play to give Toronto a 2-0 first period lead.
Hockey for Turnbull, his third goal of the playoffs, and it will come at 18:27, and the Leafs now 5.
But then it was the Flyers' turn at 3:18 of the middle period. Ross Lonsbury clicked for his first goal of the 1977 playoffs.
Year 4 checking in there by Clarkey, Reggie Leach, and Ross Lonsbury. Ross just spun right around, come up.
And just past the midway point of the period, it was Kindrachuk on a power play, his first 77 goal. Did that shot find its way in?
Tell you one thing, Don, if it isn't for slow motion, I wouldn't be able to see it myself. But take another look at that. Big Bob Daly's away to the far side. Oh, Kindrachuk parked right beside.
Score remained tied until late in the third period when Errol Thompson scored his second goal of the playoffs.
They really found the needle there because there was a massive humanity up front, and they just continued to press. And Stevenson couldn't get out, but right there, the backhander into the high post short side corner.
And with 38 seconds left in regulation time, Rick McLeish, unassisted, tied the game at 3. Regulation time, the third period. Well, don't go away at home. We've still got a lot of hockey to go. And then in sudden death, the 2:55, Rick McLeish from Bob Daly, the game winner. The shots were 37 for the Flyers, 29 for Toronto, and the big thing, the important thing, the Flyers have got that first win under their belt, and they've got to come into Sunday night's game looking a lot better and feeling a lot better. Out of town in quarterfinal action, Buffalo won their third. The Islanders won their third in a row over Buffalo. That final was 4-3. Boston on the coast at L.A. just getting underway. Montreal at St. Louis tomorrow night in their third game. Looking ahead, Terry Crisp, as we said when we had our meeting here at the Gardens this morning, you got to win the first one before you can talk about winning the second one. The Flyers have got their first. This is number one. Sunday's got to be number 2.
Don, I just come out of the dressing room from the fellas. We realize as much as anybody that one battle does not make a war, but it sure goes a long way to put you on the front where all the shooting is done. We come in here tonight. The Leafs have played good, super playoff hockey. You can take nothing away from them. They started out tonight doing the very same thing. Tight checking, coming to us, a jump to a quick 2-goal lead. You saw the ending with Mr. McLeish doing it all, putting us into overtime, winning it in overtime with 2 good wrist shots. Our fellows in there right now are happy. They also are cautious. They got one more to go to get the home ice advantage back again. A message come out of the dressing room, Don, that I've got to relay before we go any farther. And the gentleman who's listening to this, he knows who he is. Big Moose says, "Hi, Pa." He says, "Tune in Sunday night for a repeat." And Pa to him is his defensive coach, Barry Ashby, who I know is sitting there right now listening. Ashcan, the Moose says, "Make sure you tune in Sunday or he's going to break your neck."
Oh, almost broke your nose. Our voices are just about going, and I imagine that a lot of you are shouting along the way at home, maybe in much the same situation, but a happy one it is. Final score, Flyers win it in sudden death 4-3. Their first game, they trail the Leafs now by 1 game, and they'll be back in action here Sunday night at 7 o'clock on both CAU Radio and TV 29, and we hope you can join us then. Till then, for Harlan Singer, our executive producer, for Gene Hart, and for Terry Crisp, this is Don Earl saying a happy good evening from Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens.
The Flyers post-game show has been brought to you by Finance America, a Bank America company. If you want extra cash for any reason to pay off your bills, fix up your home, or take that long-awaited vacation, apply at Finance America. With offices across the country and 14 convenient locations in Flyer territory. Finance America is ready to lend you the money you need. Let Finance America put a jingle in your pocket.
Americans are on the move, going everywhere, and Michelin's the tire that's going